didn't know how to deal with my eclectic attitude without physical violence was my grandfather. And everybody else just told me how wrong I was growing up and everything like that. And then when Betsy got back and they found out what it was, which she's beaten 2 bouts with. Betsy's the baddest bitch I've ever met in my whole life. Like, she's a strong human being. The cancer was like, all right, fine, I'll quit. But growing up, like, one of the things that she would do is she had a form of liver cancer, and she would scratch herself with a steak knife, a serrated steak knife. And
don't the kids call that cutting these days?
Not like this. Cutting is lines. This was like scaling.
Oh, wow.
Oh, jeez.
Like, yeah, so you get it now. So you understand why an 11-year-old would sneak her Valiums in order to watch cartoons with her. And I had to drug her in order for her to take them because she's like, no, I don't want this. No, I don't, want to do this. So, like, I would stay home and deal with her. And, like, we were never really friends because everybody in my life that I've loved really has been abusive to me. I mean, I'm getting over that now. But, like, when you get an opportunity to escape through these Valiums, and these Valiums, oh boy, like, I hadn't even hit puberty yet, and I knew how sexy felt. like these little yellow babies, like, they were so great, and Betsy wasn't going to take them, and I'm not going to let them expire because I don't know how medicine works. So we would sit home, and, like, I would make sure that she would not, for lack of better reasoning, scale herself. Because I had scaled fish with my grandfather, whom was the one that was so great to me. We would go and fish and do all that. He taught me all that, and that's why I knew what she was doing, and that's, like, why I knew my dad got so pissed off when Michael J. Fox came the first time in front of Congress in 98 when he didn't do all that Rush Limbaugh shaking shit. Like, he just came and talked about stem cells. My dad's a religious man. My mom's a religious woman. But then my dad yelling at the Senate. And it's one of those things, like, and I'm going to be racist here because obviously anything I ever do is racist because I'm a southern white man. I can't even say the word "the." But
how dare you? We'll bleep that up.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. But, like, the way that everybody has that growing up in the South, that stigma of black people yelling at horror movies and whatnot, white people yell like that at C-SPAN.
That's really funny.
Like, that is what they do. Like, they yell at the government meetings where it's like, you can't just go see a Ghostbusters movie. Like, you really have to sit home and, like, yell at this. And my dad was, like, heated. I've never seen my dad heated other when he was whooping my ass. Because that's how child abuse works, is, like, you got to keep it local. And so, like, I found these pills, and, like, I would crush the Valium up because it would make Betsy calm down. And then I figured out you could snort pills at this point in time. This is like 1997, 1998, like the halcyon days. Like, this is where,
literally,
like,
more ways than one.
You were taking halcyon too?
Yep. And that was, like, what I learned about, because growing up playing soccer in Memphis, like, I would have to travel to Tupelo or Memphis, and these city kids were way more advanced than me. They'd be like, oh, yeah, you can snort these. And I was like, right? KSSO snort these. And, like, oh, yeah, like cocaine, like everything you make into a powder, you can snort. And I'd seen my friend snort a silly straw of, like, a sugar straw, technically. And he's like, oh, you dare me to do it? And I was like, okay, sure. And he didn't die. So I was like, oh, Valium, take me away.
Wow.
And so, like, she wouldn't crush one up for her and then take one for me. And then it became, like, 2 for me, 1 for her. And then, like, just help her make sure that she was taking her medicine, which is the weirdest thing, having to slip someone their own medicine.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, that's not okay. That's creepy. Cool. Were you there when we were watching, like, Toon Heads at midnight while my sister, like, has to try and sneak a serrated knife so that she can itch because the bile in her liver doesn't exist anymore?
Oh, that's why she was doing it? I didn't get what was going on. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, like
wow.
the liver disease, it stopped her supply
Oh,
of bile,
gosh.
and that provides oil in the skin, and that's what makes you itch.
Oh.
And
I
like,
thought she was just depressed and torturing herself.
no,
Okay,
no,
got it,
no.
got it. Okay,
I
now it
was
makes sense.
depressed and torturing myself, but like she had what killed Walter Payton, who was also from Mississippi, and if something can not only catch but kill sweetness, like, are you kidding me?
You gotta be on lookout.
Like, yes, and I remember several people coming in throughout that time, like that were because we were going to have to get a transplant, and they're like, "Oh, we would meet transplant survivors or candidates. We would meet them before and after." 3 of the 5 that we met died within the year of the transplant. She had a 450,000 to 1 odds of surviving.
Jeez.
She beat it twice.
Jeez.
Because I
had
kept
two
roofing her.
She had 2 transplants or something else?
No, she never had to
Or
do a
cancer,
transplant.
Maybe you should go to the track.
I mean, well,
Yeah, really.
goddamn.
No, just laugh. Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but that was the thing. That was how I got into it. Is like,
Wow.
because it made it easier for me, because just watching her, like, even though she would beat the shit out of me, and like she was an older sister, and we all know how older sisters are, like, she was mean, but also like she's going through something that nobody in the country understood.
Yeah.
And like I was there, like, sure, the one thing I always say is like physically abusive relationships and like all that stuff. Old Buck takes a hit. That's why my last name is Ball. I bounce, I don't break.
Wow.
And like, so then I started to dip into the Valium on my account, because then it got heavier, and like, you know, growing up, all my friends around me were like really good looking guys, and they were handsome, and I was not. So like I would just go to school like and snort a Valium and be like, oh, I feel sexy now. I'm ready for high school.
It's kind of like that new Amy Schumer flick.
Yeah.
Except people are listening to this.
Oh, I like that movie. Anyway, all right, fine.
But yeah, like that led to like it keep going down the line, and then the next thing you know is I would start driving my mom's minivan, and like we would go to the bars and sneak in because it's a college town, and if you have fake ID, it's good, and we would drive my mom's minivan, which she loved. Like, I am forever remiss that she couldn't have this forever, and it's well, and we were going one time, and a friend of mine, they had the sliding doors, and a friend of mine, I was driving pretty wildly around a neighborhood area trying to get to another home so that we could just like crash out. And I remember sliding, like power sliding, like Mario Kart, power sliding around a turn in the stop sign. And my 2 friends whom I've been in their weddings at, one of them goes to latch on to the ship handle. Mm-hmm. And instead, because it's one of those new sliding door minivans, they grab the handle.
Oh, no.
Oh, Jesus.
And the door comes open.
Oh, geez.
No.
And the door comes open, and like, we're not wearing seatbelts because, oh God, yeah, like what white male in Mississippi isn't invincible, right, especially under the age of 18. And we make this power, like, I mean, you can hear like the wheels skid. Like, we left a mark. We went back and took a picture, and one of them, our friend whose aptly name is Biscuit. Biscuit goes flying out the door and catches on to the side, and he was like, Buck, fucking pull the car around. Stop. I'm gonna, like, he's like, I can't hold on. And, like, he's literally like that thing where you see people don't want to parachute for the first time or sky jump. And they're just, it's like a cat on the shower rods. Like, oh, like, no. And, like, at this point, like, and he's one of the strongest of the group. Like, I mean, he was the most athletic of any of us.
That's Biscuit.
Yeah, that's Biscuit. I mean, that's Biscuit. He's full of fluff. And he's like, halfway out the door, and it's literally like we have become a Looney Tunes cartoon right now, and I'm worried that the door is going to come sliding back in and then do what sliding doors do best, and
remove fingers.
Oh, God.
I was just going to hit his neck.
No.
And we screeched to a stop. Yeah. And it's on the wrong side of the road, and we go into the house. Like, I'm literally facing, like, bumper to bumper with his dad's car. And we go in, and everybody's like, shit, what is going on? Like, are you okay? Like, what the fuck was that?
Why
Like,
are you all shirtless for some reason?
yeah, exactly. So you were there.
Basically.
Wait. But everybody's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I remember telling them, like, oh, man, I just snorted like 2 Valiums, and they're like, "Where did you get Valiums? Like where does this happen? Like, how did you get there?" And I just remember saying, like they were leftovers, and I was like, "I'm not going to let them go bad." And then the next morning, we woke up, and it was like 4th of July weekend because, of course, we had gone to the Hunt Club, which was what they call a $5 aphrodisiac, where you paid $5 to get in, and it was a bottomless cup, and like. Then it became the point of people like me watching Betsy to make sure that she took her pills, to then people watching me to make sure I didn't take her pills.
Right.
Wow.
And that was the point where I was like, gee.
And you woke up in Los Angeles the next morning.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah. From there, it's been a blur.
I was going to ask, kind of backtracking a little bit, but you mentioned that July 4th is your LA anniversary. Now, was that when you landed in LA or when you left Mississippi?
Or was it all the same day? Because did you fly or just drive? Or
I
what?
drove.
Oh, wow.
So the thing is I drove out, and it took, like, my mom and my dad were behind me. My mom rode in the car with me, which was great because you know how moms love
Valium?
to see. Well, yeah. Yes. I mean, yes. My mom now, yes. Like, that's the great thing now is, like, it's superseded, and now, like, my dad doesn't drink as much at all, really. My mom drinks some. I got to hear her get real tipsy when we went home for Easter. But hearing my mom and dad on benzos and barbiturates, they're like so much cooler and calmer than they ever were. And like that, like we met in New Orleans, and I was like, oh, you know, because me, like I'm still addicted to multiple things. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go get, you know, a pint of vodka on my way to their hotel, and I'd show up with a pint of vodka and be like, okay, so you're ready to go. We don't have to stop. It's like, okay, y'all want to go do brunch? Yeah. Yeah, like, I'm, you know what? I am so hungry.
Nice. Oh.
And, because I got him to smoke, like, well, not my mom. I got my dad to smoke weed once. And, but benzos for my mom have been like her smoking weed. And I don't have to roofie her at all, which I can't believe a Mississippian is saying.
How did they wind up taking the pills?
Well, my mom went through like a lot of tragic stuff in a row when I moved out here. Her dad died, and we were in a really bad car wreck, which provided, like, her dad dying and her being in the car wreck were all within 6 months of my dad's brother dying. And like at Christmas, it was like 6 months of a really tumultuous event, and then she had some work stuff went on, and also she's just like, I'm tired of being depressed. Like, she actually did it right, but the whole thing with that is I don't think that the prescription plays into Behringer's Infidels.
I don't know what that is.
You just drop them down in the... It's a cheap wine.
Oh, okay.
Well, fuck you then,
Okay,
because you know what?
Cheap wine.
I thought you said
Say readily available,
Oh, come on.
maybe,
I
but
don't want to be too judgmental here, but
now rosés. There you go. There,
it's got legs. Listen. I'm sure she ran down to the cellar to pick up a bottle.
They do have a wine cooler, though, in their house. It's like a really nice thing.
Little Splenda, a couple Valiums, sweeten that thing right up.
Oh, yeah. But, like, that was the thing is we drove out, and literally we spent a week looking for places. I signed the lease on July 4th. Or I signed the lease technically on, like, June 16th. And then moved in finally on July 4th. And that's been, like, my ever-present, like, check-in. Because I lived in Anaheim before, and we all know that doesn't count.
Nope.
Anaheim.
It's
Lord.
the Mississippi of Orange County.
Yeah.
But yes, the orange curtain. And but the cool thing about my mom and like the Valiums and like all the stuff that happened is we listened to Led Zeppelin and The Who all the way out.
Nice.
And then she knitted. Like she would sit there and knit to Led Zeppelin and The Who, and she'd be like,